Now, I assume that you worked a lot in designing this particular solution for your company with Charles Dominic. What's he like?
Oh, Charles was great. We had a couple of exchanges online. We had some voice exchanges, and then he kind of let my group go through, I think it was a pilot run with his company, and he came in and did an assessment, and that's what helped us kind of tailor which individual would be in which program. He set up an assessment online that kind of evaluated across multiple skills a purchasing person's current existing knowledge base. And he fed me a synopsis of the entire group and gave us kind of a rating of each person per module per task. That enabled me to say, what program was appropriate to enroll each individual in.
Is there any example that you can think of, something that popped out where because somebody took this course or had some insights that maybe they hadn't before, is there anything in particular that might be an example where we could actually draw a hard line between something that somebody did and the fact that they learned about a new technique or reminded of an old technique? Anything that comes to mind?
I think there are a couple of examples that very quickly come to mind. Some are subtle. One being, as we went through some of the contract redesign that we use internally, the modules of Next Level Purchasing were perfect. It helped us with a consistent format. We had multiple page, very complex agreements that are now down to a couple of pages with a one-page term and condition. And the team that was kind of involved with that went through the contract module.
Anything else that comes to mind?
Certainly with a number of the savings initiatives and were to look at, I think those were probably examples as well. I mean, when you look at the number of programs that we worked on this year, a better part of almost 1,100 initiatives, just using and following the suggestions that Charles kind of outlines about how do you source strategically and what are the formats and things you should be looking for and how do you calculate savings and how do you communicate what savings is to kind of the C-level officers, right? And I think those things were things that applied day in and day out for us.
So how did your employees react to the course? I mean, did you have to really push them to do this, or?
I think very honestly there was a mixture of them. When you look at the staff that we had going into the year, we had a mixture of people that were, I would say, computer literate versus some that were novice users. We have a tremendous span of ages within my group alone, going from early 20s to late 50s. So you have multiple generations, multiple uses of different levels of skills with technology. And some were afraid, some were very excited. But everyone, the key for us became connecting it to their individual development plans and then connecting that to their performance objectives that they had individually.
Tell me about the people that were nervous, that were worried about it. What tipped them over the edge? What made them finally say, okay, I can do this?
Certainly the ease of use. It was so user-friendly, again, when you look at skill set of computer users, it's across the spectrum. It was really amazed and was kind of a compliment to some of the folks on staff that had never taken an online CBT, and this was their very first experience. So to be able to log into the system, to be able to access the material, to be able to very easily complete the coursework and examinations online, that was important. And it truly was proof positive of Next Level Purchasing's value because this group was able to do that.
Now, did you feel like by doing this kind of online approach that you actually had kind of more command and control over whether people were actually getting it?
I did, and you actually get visibility into your staff as to their progress, and you can kind of monitor and track that online, which is a great value benefit for an end user, a manager, whether he or she is a department manager or director of a department. They can kind of see how their group's progressing and when someone kind of hits a roadblock. So I preferred the chunked approach of being online.
I know that ultimately you were promoted into a higher level position. Did the taking of this program help anybody move up and get promoted as well to take your place?
That's a great point. As a matter of fact, the new director of strategic sourcing for us, Rob Young, actually completed the entire certification for Next Level Purchasing. So it enabled his career as well.
So tell me about you. What's this new promotion like? What kind of new responsibilities do you have?
Well, this is incredible. I've stepped into leading the entire global supply chain for Kimball, which means that, in essence, I have probably $500,000 of sourcing logistics operations. We have an internal trucking fleet, supplier quality engineering group, and then we have an engineering group that does design for cost reduction. So I have tremendously increased my responsibility, and I'm one of 5 folks in the company that's on the president's staff.
Wow. So this is not a lateral move.
No, this was clearly a thank you move and a recognition of success. So.
Right. Well, without getting personal into the details, did this also indicate an increase in your check coming home?
It tremendously did. It impacted financially as well as functionally my scope of responsibility and developmentally what it enables for my career going forward, obviously.
So, what would you say to another purchasing executive out there who's trying to figure out how to really revitalize their team? What would you say to them when it comes to looking at next level purchasing in their certification program?
I would certainly endorse it by all means, and so much so that we haven't talked about this, but I went through the entire certification as well. So I personally achieved certification, and I did that to experience firsthand what my staff would experience and to, quite frankly, to increase my knowledge and skill performance. So first, I can tell you personally the benefit you get, and then incredibly, you truly enable your team just to function at a different level.
Fabulous. I mean, I can't imagine anything else that we've got to say. Any last words that you want to share with people about this whole concept or about Charles or the company?
Well, certainly, if you've not explored next-level purchasing and you have a team and you're talking about training, it needs to be one of your next steps, next phone calls, is to inquire about how can you get started. And Charles makes it extremely painless for you and your organization. And like most things in life, proof positive in people that have used it, but also the money-back guarantee. It's kind of a no-lose for you. So as you're looking at options, I would tremendously suggest that this is the first place you go to look at development for purchasing people.